The following is a presentation of the Mat Talk Podcast Network. It's time for the Guillotine Grapevine, a podcast for the land of 10,000 wrestlers. 10,000 wrestlers. Now, here's your host, award-winning wrestling broadcast journalist, Jason Bryant.
Here at Pinnacle with Daniel, Greg Kerkvliet, they say in this room, cadet world champion. Getting right before you get a workout in prior to the junior world team trials down in Rochester this weekend, before we even talk about your goals and expectations for this year, what's it like to just go down the road in Rochester and be able to wrestle in your home state?
Well, it takes away the traveling, so that's always nice, not having to hop on a plane.
Because over the summer, you had to hop on a plane or two to get to Athens, Greece. And then, we're coming up on the year mark as that happened in September. Have you really had a chance to reflect on what that meant for you? Obviously, it changed the line of how you were being recruited and things of that nature. But, is it safe to say it's sunk in and you're moving forward in a positive level from that?
Yeah, I'd say right after the tournament, it definitely sunk in. And I just realized how great of a thing in multiple ways that was for me to do. But then it was just like right back to work because that's not the end of the line.
And you're still cadet age as far as United World Wrestling goes. Our age groups are different here in the United States than they are internationally. So it's you've got another year of cadets. Your weight still, one, how's the weight cut going to be? Or is there going to be a weight cut to get to 100 kilos?
To get to 100 kilos, it's 110 for cadets, 97 for juniors, but the weight cut's not too bad. It's about 13 pounds.
Okay, so and you're still growing, but is this going to be a tougher cut than last year?
I don't think so. It should be pretty fine.
In terms of your ability and your practice time here at Pinnacle and in your room at Simley, where have you improved the most from last year's Cadet World Championship to where you are right now going into the Junior World Team Trials? I
think my hand fighting's improved a lot. Well, what improved the most, in my opinion, is my parterre offense and defense, but mostly my parterre offense.
What's the hardest thing about developing parterre offense for guys at your weight classes, those bigger weights?
I'd say getting under them with whether it's a gut, lifting them up, or moving the big legs together for a lace, but just it's not something you work on year round. It's kind of like a half because we have folk style, so it's something you got to pay attention to a lot when you are working on it.
I've seen some guys at the senior level bring in a lot of that folk style, cheap tilt, for lack of a better term. David Taylor does some really nasty stuff on top. With a lot of it works in folk style, have you tried to implement some of that type of folk style skill sets into freestyle where, again, maybe a tilt might be a little easier to get than a full-on gut wrench?
No, not really. I'm just usually a basic gut lace type guy.
You got the long arms, yeah. And you're long anyway. So the laces and the guts, you seem to be, you're defensively that's got to be a problem for you to also look out for. You got a lot of legs to tie up.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I think I got it under control.
Well, world title says so. Now, when we look at the practice room here, you come over here from Simley, and it's not that far of a trip depending on traffic, but this time of year, high school season's over. You've got bigger goals. You want another world title. You want two actually this year. You want to wrestle both age groups. What are you getting right now out of the practice room here at Pinnacle that's prepping you for this weekend and is going to prep you for the other events that you need to do to win those two titles?
I'm getting a lot. I'm getting great practice partners, Brandon and Jared, bringing guys in every time that can push me. I'm getting obviously great technique from two great wrestlers, so that's about as much as you could ask for.
Saw you in there talking to Donnie Longendijk earlier. He had pretty good success at the age group levels and then went on to be a national champ at Augsburg. He's a big boy. What's it like rolling around with him?
It's fun, actually. It makes me focus on specific techniques and not just trying to use strength. I got to work on technical finishes and not just trying to muscle them down.
You're dealing with man strength there, not kids your age.
Yeah.
And how much of a difference do you think that makes?
I think it makes a big difference because dealing with man strength in practice room, I'm going to be ready for it come match time.
So much was made about the match between you and Gable this year. And, some people looking at it, maybe it hurt his stock because he only beat you by a point. I mean, have you guys talked since the match, now the high school season's over, about maybe mix it up in freestyle a bit or even training together? Cause, he's junior eligible again. I mean, he was cadet eligible last year, but he's just, he was a little big. But, what's that been like since that match?
After we text a little bit back and forth, a couple texts, but after that, not too much back and forth.
So it's, when you guys will be on the team together, the junior world team, hopefully, that'll be, you'll pick it back up there.
It's a possibility. Yeah.
When we look at what you've got going for you, you're actually standing there or sitting there with a copy of the Guillotine right next to you. And the generation that you guys are even, I helped start one in Virginia, but it's all internet based and you've got an actual magazine there. You think about it for a second, you're like, oh, I've never seen this before. How's that make you feel about being a Minnesota wrestler? Know that this is a publication that thousands of people across the state get. This is what, your dad wanted to be in growing up. I mean, it's things like this.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked. It's my first time ever seeing one. I didn't know they actually had magazines until now.
Yeah, because each month I know that this is not just a plug for the magazine, but as somebody coming from out of state, looking at what Minnesota wrestling's got here. I mean, you had a packed gym for that dual meet. You've got great attendance for the state championships, and you've got great heritage here with Pinnacle and the other great clubs in the state, and the Minnesota Storm and Minnesota USA Wrestling. So, from a support standpoint, being in Minnesota is where things happen for you.
Yeah. Well, I haven't been like to high school wrestling out of state, so I don't have much to compare it to, but just from what I know, it's pretty great.
What's the best thing about freestyle wrestling to you?
I don't know. I just like freestyle. I don't know. Just being able to get on top and lock your hands for one, get a gut wrench and try to squeeze them, get them over. That's fun for me.
It's also fun. I'm looking at your shirt here. I just want some ice cream. You got a Kyvan Gadsden shirt on right now.
Yeah.
Why? Why'd you want to pick that one up?
We train together. We train together here and there. I'm good friends with him.
Good dude.
Yeah.
What does that relationship like for you to go, okay, here's a guy that won a national title. Actually, he pinned Kyle Snyder a couple years ago. I mean, he has a legacy in his own right with his family and how great it was. What's it like to develop a relationship with a senior level athlete, whether it be Kyvan or whether it be somebody else, when you're still in high school? I mean, these guys are heroes to so many, and you're on a first name basis with them. Yeah,
that's pretty great. It's an experience that not many high schoolers get, and I'm grateful for that. And it's just so much that I can learn, pick up, just like little things here and there.
So have you given much thought to things you want to see in these foreign countries should you make the team? I mean, I think it's a safe bet. The cadets is a safe bet. The juniors, there's some college age guys that are ready to beat you up too. But, what are you looking forward for with some of these trips?
I'm just looking forward to going out there, feeling the European style, just going out there, wrestling tough competition, scoring points.
See, like most people that struggle with geography, I actually did not struggle a whole lot until the breakup of all these Soviet republics and trying to like Slovakia is formerly the Czech Republic. It was Czechoslovakia, and now that's where the junior world is going to be. Have you done any research on Slovakia?
I've not.
None.
I just know it's a far flight.
It's a long flight. Yeah, I think we got to fly into Vienna, and then that's probably the best airport, and then you drive or to take a train, or it's just. You fly into another country and then drive. You cross borders, which here we can cross the Canadian border all the time.
Yeah.
But international travel, I mean, how much of that do you want to do in the future?
I want to do a lot of that, actually. It's just fun going overseas, especially competing overseas. That's a really fun part, just seeing different new things.
Have you picked up anything that you brought home from Greece? Be like, yeah, I like this food. Let's eat this a little bit more.
Food-wise, where we were staying, not too much.
No. So, yeah, we lucked out with like a Euro spot right around the corner from our hotel. So we were good there. But, yeah, I don't even know where you guys were at. You guys were way over there.
We were like an hour away from the arena.
That doesn't make any sense. So, as we talked about moving forward. College plans, you made the commitment to Oklahoma State. Zach Esposito was actually at the match a couple months ago against Gable. And when the whole recruiting process is turned upside down and, you realize that you're going to be a big guy, you realize this is going to be an issue at the U. What was the biggest thing you got out of that? The whole process, say, I'm going to go to Oklahoma State and basically reopening the process, even though you were going into your junior in high school.
Well, when I saw Oklahoma State, I was just thinking what was best for me for the next 5 years when I'm in college. And regardless of where I'm at, I'm still going to go out there and wrestle. I'm going to go out there and wrestle matches. It doesn't change. So, I mean, Oklahoma State, when I took my visit out there, was a great place that I liked a lot.
Put some more Division I flags on the wall here at Pinnacle. What do you think of the new place, by the way?
I like it. It's a lot more mat space.
I mean, it's new. It's I was here 5 months ago. It was the last time I walked in here, but it's new, still new to a lot of you guys. So a lot of mat space.
Yeah.
A lot high ceilings. A lot more place to play cornhole outside. So when you walk in a facility like this to supplement your high school training and to really pick it up when the Freestyle and Greco season, what's it mean to have clubs like this for you and your teammates?
It's very important. I think it's mostly of what got me to where I'm at. Just the technique that you see here is maybe not always what you'll see at your high school wrestling room. And it's just a different aspect to wrestling, a different view of wrestling from their view.
Predictions for the summer. 2 world teams, 2 world titles?
Yeah. You got to make the teams.
I got to make the teams. Rochester, we'll see you in action this weekend. Good luck.
Thank you.
Continuing on as we prep for the Junior World Team Trials and other events here in the state of Minnesota, Guillotine Grapevine continues. Paxton Creese of Shakopee in the house. First time I ever heard of this kid, his dad sent me a video of this weird standing reverse cradle or something. Not a reverse cradle. It was this standing cradle, and you were about 10 or 11 years old. It was crazy. You've been putting out sick moves, and now you're actually growing into a weight classes that you're not just the little, well, you're still little, but you're not just the little guy doing some cool stuff anymore. What's it like to finally be like, all right, now I can wrestle some older guys?
I don't know. It's really fun being up on the big stages at Fargo and getting that dream of wrestling in the state finals or just wrestling at all these big tournaments that when I was younger I didn't really get to do.
Because as you obviously grow in age, you grow in weight classes, the pool of competitors for you to wrestle against is now bigger because, when you're 100 pounds of, in my age, I was third grade 100 pounds. I'm not getting any competition. You're finally getting to 100 pounds. And in high school, it's a completely different thing. But when you're having so much success against the smaller weight classes, and then you're into these weight classes where these kids are now been there for a couple of years, when you see your ability to win those matches, does it really kind of validate your training and validate your ability?
Yeah, I mean, I've always liked training with bigger guys. I've always feel like that pushes me a lot more. I feel like I wrestle a lot better because it's I'm stepping up to the challenge. And then when I go out and wrestle kids my own size, it's nothing's really that hard about it. It's just wrestling.
Let's dial it back a little bit, talk about your high school season a little bit. Shakopee, Coach Jackson's been, he's a legend in this state, of course, at Apple Valley. Of course, this year you guys were a team to knock them out of even making the state tournament for the first time in, decades. I mean, what was that moment like for you guys as a team?
It was unbelievable. I mean, just to see, because this year I was starting varsity. Last year I was behind Max Crow, but I still got varsity in there. And then just seeing all these matches, because I actually used to be at Apple Valley, seeing them just come up and wreck people. And then I come to a school that's almost like their rival, and we lose to them, or we beat them at the start of last year, number 1 all year, lose them in the section finals. We had all those real top competitors, a couple of D1 commits, Cashman, Manville. They all leave. We come back. We just got Lloyd and Sam the next year. And started off the season number 8 in the state, I think, or number 6. Had a bad trouble at the Clash. No one was really believing in us. And then we knocked off STMA. Then we knocked off Valley. And then a couple of weeks later, we knocked them off in the section finals. It was just unbelievable.
What's fun for you about a dual meet?
Just being with all my friends, seeing them out there competing, almost because this year I was a starting weight, so it's almost starting off the duel. It's just a lot of fun. There's so much action going on. You just got to keep on going.
How much discussion was it between you and your teammates? You mentioned the rivalry there with Apple Valley, but the fact that Coach Jackson's the guy coaching you guys against his former team. I mean, how much is that brought up in the room, or is it to the point now he's been there long enough that you guys really don't hear about it as much? I
mean, the first year he was here, he kind of brought up a lot of stuff that he did at Apple Valley, and I don't know. It seems like now he's kind of grown off that, and he's more just about Shakopee and no one else. It's a lot better.
in terms of the wrestling tradition, from an outsider standpoint, I'm from Virginia originally. Everything I hear about is you mentioned them. You mentioned St. Michael, Albertville. We know about them. We know about Owatonna. We know about Albert Lee. We know about Apple Valley. What's it been like to really raise the level of a school to the national? I mean, to national prominence. I mean, you move. I moved here. When I moved here 10 years ago. Okay. Oh yeah, Shakopee. It's where I bought my car. It's not what I think of. First thing I think of in wrestling. Now you've got to mention Shakopee when you mention all those powerhouse programs, those historic traditional programs.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like we've always had good wrestlers. I mean, we had Owen Webster come up through the program, Crow, Jones, and then it's just so cool to be we raised that bar this year, and it's just so cool to be a part of it.
Well, in this generation, it seems like Brent Jones was the first guy to come through to really put the place on the map.
Yeah.
I mean, from your perspective, though, being so young and being on the national level, even at the age group levels, you strike me as a student of the sport in terms of what's going on around in the state, not just because you read the Guillotine or you're online, but the national level. I mean, what does the mindset of the team? It's okay, we got to win a state title, we got to win individual titles, but you're here at Pinnacle for a reason. You've got teammates here at Pinnacle for a reason. What are those reasons? I
mean, Pinnacle technique is in the training here is unbelievable, and we've actually got a lot of our team to join Pinnacle because kids do the in-season practice, obviously, but it's none of our wrestlers really have always wanted to do off-season, and it seems like now we're starting to get that with a lot of our wrestlers, and it's just made our team a lot better.
Going into summer goals, first of all, what are your summer goals?
Well, my first one was obviously to make the Cadet Pan Am team, and then go win Pan Am Gold, then make the world team, and then hopefully win Fargo.
So, and you're getting ready to go as Guatemala, right?
Yep.
And when do you leave for that?
I leave next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. So are you going to go down to Rochester at all to check out the junior trials at all?
I'm actually wrestling at
Oh, you are? Okay. Yeah. So you're cadet eligible. You're still going to wrestle. Okay.
Junior.
Oh, junior eligible. That's what I meant. So you're cadet eligible, UWW. You're going to wrestle up.
Yep.
Any worries about that? I mean, there's possibility of running some college guys too. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
your weight class, I don't think so, but it's still, I mean, you've got some older guys there.
Yeah. It's just wrestling.
So when you look at the opportunity to represent the United States, I mean, this is something that you've been on, first and second in these national tournaments. That these are opportunities to go to the training center in Colorado Springs, things of that nature, but you're going to be strapping up and it's going to say USA on your singlet. Have you given any thought on what that's going to be like?
Well, I mean, I've kind of almost got a little bit used to it because last year I was invited to do some training in a tournament over in Europe. And we went over to Estonia and we wrestled over there. I mean, it was really cool repping the USA singlet, but the fact that now I actually made the team by winning a tournament to actually get a spot in an actual Team USA team, it's unbelievable. I'm so excited to do it.
Have you talked to, Daniel, Greg, Daniel, whatever you guys want to call him here? I mean, he was on the Cadet World team last year. Those guys that have made teams, that have been in this room or been in your room in Shakopee or wherever you've gone and practiced, have you asked them what it's like to travel at all?
Yeah. I talked to Greg. I'm pretty good friends with Greg. Who else? Cashman. He was obviously at our program last year, and I talked to him all the time and stuff.
What are you most looking forward to when you get down to, it's Guatemala, it's Central America. It's not a destination for wrestling, but I haven't been there. I've been to, 14 Kerplakistans and never been to Montana. You're going to go to Guatemala. You're going to have that as one of your first international trips as well. I mean, you said Estonia, but what does it, what are you looking forward to going down there besides wrestling?
Wrestling Cubans. I want to wrestle the Cubans. I want to wrestle all those different countries down there, see how much their different wrestling is from USA. Just go win a gold down there.
How do you try to get better?
Wrestling with big kids. I lift every morning. Try to get a lot of matches in, a lot of tournaments in. Keep getting on the mat. Really take no time off.
Now, earlier I was talking to Kerkvliet about his shirt. His shirt said, "I just want some ice cream." It was a Kyvan Gadsden shirt. And he said it was one of the guys he's formed a relationship with and you're friends with, a guy who's a senior level athlete. He's an NCAA champion. Have you had that opportunity to, through your travels, to kind of meet some of your heroes and become friends with them? Oh,
yeah. I mean, I'm pretty good friends with a lot of, really good college wrestlers. I mean, who was that? I mean, I've talked with Fix before. know him pretty well. Who else? A lot of the U of M wrestlers. Larry Early from ODU.
Plug there. That's my alma mater. But continue.
I mean, it's just like cool. Like when I post a picture on Instagram, I see like all these college level athletes liking my photos. It's just kind of like I'm kind of up there now.
It is kind of cool. I mean, just even watch, the progression. I mean, we joke about Hayden Zilmer all the time because I watched him win a cadet title at 84 pounds.
Yeah. And
then, you see him wrestling at 211 pounds, 84 kilos and 97 kilos or not, whatever it is, internationally. And, there's hope for you yet to get gigantic like Hayden Zilmer. But, when you look at, the cadet Pan Ams and such, I mean, these international trips are kind of hitting the calendar at weird times. Are you still planning on wrestling in Fargo, or is that something that is not in the cards this year?
Oh, for sure. I've wrestled at Fargo the past couple of years. I love that tournament. It's a pretty tough grind there. Yeah. The only bad thing is that, like, if I say I make the world team, I don't want to have to get in the way of Fargo because I still want to wrestle Fargo, but I might be training at the OTC, say, if I make it.
Yeah, that's where I was kind of getting at, because in the past some years the junior worlds. I mean, one year I think Tashia Al, cadet world, she won a cadet world title on the women's side, flew to Fargo and won a Fargo title in the same week. Manville did the same. Mason did the same thing. So it was just, I mean, you gotta be kind of a maniac to do that.
Yeah.
When we look at, how would you describe your wrestling style? Because again, I've watched film of you since you were a kid. You're still a kid, but since you were younger, and then we've seen you tear it up, on the high school mats. How would you describe your style?
I mean, I'm not like the type of kid to just go in just like tight, like ties. Just I'm more like kind of distance, a lot of fakes, a lot of low ankles. Definitely the scrambling part. I would say a lot of my takedowns come from scrambling. Just basically just speed, a lot of speed and flexibility. That too.
When it comes to the styles, I mean, here in Minnesota, you wrestle both. It's just, you do it. I mean, you look in the room right now, Brandon Paulson's won a lot of freestyle titles too. He's won a lot of Greco titles. I don't know what Laval's done. No, I'm just kidding. Again, I've known Laval a long time. I like to poke some barbs at him. He'll hear this and he'll know that the Buffalo Bills are terrible. But, preference is obviously freestyle. But what do you get? Or is it a preference Greco?
Well, the thing is, like, when
it seems like you're pretty damn good at both of them.
Like, when I was younger, like, I was pro Greco. I hated freestyle. It was just like, when I was at a tournament, I was just like, it was a drag to wrestle freestyle. And it's like, for through the years now, from like wrestling a lot of high school and stuff, it seems like I've almost started to like freestyle a lot more. I don't know if it's just been accomplishing a lot more, like with folk style and stuff. But I don't know. It just seems like I've like almost grown to like almost equal in both now.
And the Cadet Pan Ams, usually athletes wrestle both styles. You wrestle both styles? So that's another unique opportunity. You could potentially have 2 medals out of this.
Yeah.
But when we come back to your style, and we've got a lot of elite wrestlers in this room, and we've got a lot of good clubs here in the state of Minnesota. But what have you found that, from your experience, that having a really good high level high school room and a really good high level club room, I mean, how do they play off each other?
I think they play off great because, I mean, if you have a high level high school wrestling room and then you get those kids to come to a high school or a high level club, that's just going to make your team even better. It's just going to make everyone a lot sharper, and I think it plays off a lot better. The only thing is that, like, because Pinnacle does, like, practices on, like, Sundays and stuff, so sometimes, like, coaches are iffy about that. They don't want you coming and training and getting hurt, but I think it makes this better.
Have you seen a situation, obviously you're not at a non-power program, but I'm thinking about kids that are, they may be the best guy on their team, but they've got, the team might be forfeiting 3-4 weights, and there's, is above the level of the room. Have you seen any of those type of kids really excel in this type of environment?
Oh yeah, I see kids. There's a lot of kids I'm pretty good friends with that, like, their team is just not that good, but they're like pretty good. But I mean, like, I feel like it's a lot better when your whole team's good because you can just work off each other. And this is when you're like the best on your team. It's like you got no one really tough to train with in the room. And it's you're almost relying on the club to make you better, and that's not every day.
And then you come back to your high school the next season, and guess what? Your workout partners are better because now you're pushing them. So, hey, guess what? That's how you become a power program. Now, looking forward and looking ahead, you've got the international travel, you've got the international aspirations. There's a lot of college banners on this wall on where there are Division I athletes wrestling. I mean, it's a little early maybe to ask where you're looking at. I mean, going as a sophomore, but what type of school do you feel is the best fit for you? I'm not going to ask you to name any schools unless you're comfortable with that, but what type of schools are you looking at?
Well, I mean, I've always been interested in ASU. I've always liked their school. And I'm pretty good friends with.
You're like the weather. Let's be honest. You grew up in Minnesota. You want to go where it's warm.
Yeah, I want to kind of get out of Minnesota. I don't really have much here. My dad wants me to go to somewhere in Pennsylvania, like Lehigh or Lock Haven, because he's from there. My mom would also be happy if I went to Wisconsin, because that's where she's from. So, I mean, I've been always
two of those three. You're not really getting rid of that winter climate. I've lived in Pennsylvania.
Exactly.
And
I don't know. I've been always kind of interested in ASU. More of the southern schools. I want to go somewhere down there, like Oklahoma State or something like that. That would be cool.
There is snow there too, but they don't know how to. I tell you what, when there's snow, and I'm from Virginia, when there's like a threat of an inch of snow, I mean, it's pandemonium. I mean, we would cancel school for the threat of snow.
Oh, that's not like it in Minnesota.
Yeah.
You can get 5 inches, 10 inches of snow, and they'll still have it because they'll literally just send out the plowers.
I learned they stop because I've got my daughter's a kindergartner, and so they stop the buses, at least in the Mounds View School District, 20 below. Yeah. That's when they don't. We're not picking up anymore. Nope. 20 below, too cold. Now, we've already established you want to get out of the cold, but you can't ice fish in Tempe.
I'm not an ice fish.
Oh, see, I just discovered ice fish. Well, I haven't just discovered it. I just sucked at it for so long. I finally caught my first walleye last winter, but there is still a general sense of importance to being a Minnesota wrestler. I mean, even the news station to talk about, the great hockey, the hockey day and all that stuff, but there are more wrestlers than hockey players in the state, but it's represented. The state tournament has huge numbers. I mean, what's it like for you to be a wrestler in Minnesota?
Well, I mean, it would suck to leave here because, I've literally spent my whole life here, really. Well, I was born in Wisconsin, but I came here when I was 6, I think, or no, 4. I mean, it's just coming up through the whole entire Minnesota, program it's just awesome because everyone's just hammers in Minnesota. It's pretty tough here. Is
it kind of hard to when you talk about saying where other schools you want to go to? Is kind of because the Gophers are the state's only Division I team.
Yeah.
A lot of let's see. Let's look at 2 of the coaches in there right now are Gophers. And there's such a sense of community within, Minnesota wrestling. You see, it's not necessarily it just says Minnesota wrestling. People just appreciate the sport. Is it kind of hard for you to sit there and be like, I like these guys, but I like Minnesota. I mean, you're going to probably face that in a couple of years with people kind of, hey, why do you want to go anywhere else?
I mean, it's going to suck because a lot of these wrestlers I've came up with are now committing to the U of M. It's kind of I kind of feel like I should go there too, since I'm starting to look at colleges. But I don't know. I kind of want to just get out of the state.
As we talk about goals moving forward next year, I mean, you were second in the state to win a state title. I mean, how high is that on your checklist of things to get done? Multiple state titles, I guess.
Well, I mean, it's a big deal.
It's a tough state, though.
It's tough. It was a really big deal to me, but I've always been the type of kid where I'd rather just do freestyle and Greco all year. So, I mean, I feel like Fargo is probably my top right now. Then probably state or a title or world title or something like that. But I've always wanted to win Fargo so bad. I've always dreamed of that.
The giant stop sign.
Yeah.
It's no longer, it's not a trophy. It's not a medal. It's a freaking stop sign.
I've choked 3 times now in the semis, and it sucks getting that 3rd place plaque.
When we look at some of the guys you've wrestled over the years, who's the one wrestler that seems to bring the best out of you when competing?
I would probably say my best match, probably Shriver from Iowa.
I was wondering if that would be your answer because you guys have because you're always the smallest guys and you're always the best guys.
Yeah, I train with them every August at their Man of Steel camp in Centerville, Iowa. I go up there and train with the Seabolt people every year. It's a horrible camp. It's so hard. It's so hard. Waking up every morning with 3.3 mile run for 5 days and then follow an hour later with a 2 hour practice. 2 hours later, another 2 hour practice. 2 hours later, a live practice. Oh, it's horrible. It's so bad.
I've never been to J. Rob's camp, so I can't compare it. I'm sure they can explain to that. But Paxton Creese, one last question. At 16, you've got some ink there. What's the significance?
Well, I've always wanted to get a tattoo, and then I started deciding to get one a couple months ago, and then when I turned 16 in November, I found out that it's legal in Fargo, North Dakota. So I was like, okay, we're getting this done. So then I had to find something pretty cool, and this is my family crest, and has my name at the bottom, and then in the middle it says, "In the sign you will conquer," and it's got the cross.
I can respect the family crest. I got mine right there.
Oh, that's sweet.
I didn't get mine in Fargo, though. I've gotten a lot of things in Fargo, but tattoo's not one of them.
I'm actually hoping to get 2 more right after Fargo.
Okay, see, now I want to know, did you have a conversation with your parents about this prior?
My parents were fine with it.
Oh, okay.
My dad was fine with it. He was like, if you want it, you can get it. I was like, yeah. And he's like, don't come crying to me when it starts hurting too much. I was like, it hurts.
It feels like a bee sting.
No, it's way worse than bee sting because it was right in these nerves, right around.
Well, I mean, I got a little more protection there, so that's why I've gone everything on my leg. I got 3 pretty good pieces of art here. Yeah. But when you get of age in Minnesota, I know a guy who does some really good work. But Paxton Creese, thanks for talking with us and good luck.
Thank you.
Support wrestling in the land of 10,000 wrestlers by subscribing to The Guillotine. 9 issues a year for just $20, the best value in Minnesota wrestling. Subscribe at theguillotine.com/subscribe.
This show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MattTalkOnline.com.